Hello everybody, welcome back to Cinema Savvy. It is myself George bringing you a brand new review, and today I'm going to be reviewing Paddington in Peru, which is out in UK cinemas this Friday the 8th of November, and I believe the rest of the world in January. And with that in mind, this is obviously going to be a spoiler-free review, so do not fear I will not be ruining the events of this film. And this is one I'm quite excited to talk about. I don't think Paddington's ever been spoken about on this channel before, so it is a new review. It's the first time we reviewed one of these in the series, and I'll give some thoughts on those as well. But in the meantime, I do want to hear from you guys at home, so please do comment your thoughts on Paddington, whether you're looking forward to the new one, whether you've seen this, what your thoughts were. Are you watching in the future a few months from now? Have you had to wait a few more months? I'm curious about how people find the wait for this one. I'm curious about overseas people as well, because Paddington is very British, and it seems to be one of those things that's stuck within British culture and has that overseas connection now to the UK, like a Harry Potter type, which is very strange but understandable. So I'm curious about other people, and if you want to find out about other videos of what else we're working on, there's a fair few things happening this week. It's been a very busy time. Go get us on our social medias, linktree.com/cinemasavvy. That'll put you through to our Facebook, Letterboxd, Instagram and Twitter accounts, where we share clips and announce all of our new videos. So I mentioned I'm going to talk about Paddington. I mentioned it's not been spoken about on the channel before. And I'll be honest, I'm quite late to the Paddington series. I was lucky to see this at a press screening on Saturday. I know the world premiere was yesterday. And I had seen the first two films before. I've only seen them once. They're played a lot in our household. They're very near and dear to some of my relatives' hearts. But for me, I'm more of a background type. I came into it last year. I watched them both. I thought they were both good. I thought the second one was excellent as its reputation, and I do think they're two films that had lived up to a lot of hype that's come before it. And I know within British culture it's become an insane, ridiculous, over-the-top attachment to certain individuals, to certain meme formats, all these kinds of things. So Paddington is sort of up there, and I know there's been a lot of anticipation for the third film. Obviously Paul King has not returned. He was directing Wonka, which was great from last year if I'm really honest, and it's a shame he wasn't able to come back and do this one. And in line with that, we've got a brand new director, his directorial debut, which was something I was really caught off guard by, because I think it's very well directed, if I'm going to jump into that to begin with. I didn't know what to expect. I think when you bring a new director and 3 films in, especially as their debut, you might not think, are they part of this? Maybe they've been a writer on the other ones, maybe they've been involved in the background, but it's a very much new connection to it. And with that, there's been some other changes which I'll talk about down the line, but overall I thought this was a solid film, and that's what I'm going to kind of lead this review with. The story of Paddington obviously having to go to Peru to look for his Aunt Lucy. If you haven't seen all the gazillion trailers that are played before everything now, the marketing is in overdrive here in the UK as well, so there's a lot of Paddington things happening. There's even an article last week that the Queen appears in this film, which I'm not going to answer because obviously I'm keeping this review spoiler free, which is a very strange article to see, by the way, before the films come out, but it is what it is. And I guess for me, my expectation heading into this film is, can you round out a trilogy as such? Can you make a film that's as good as the other two, or at least that fits within those other two? Because I don't think you can sort of recreate magic in the sense of, you've had a sequel that's so good, I don't think you can improve upon that in a third one, especially one that feels as innocent as a Paddington film. It's not trying to be like a big series with these changes with story prevailing. It's a family film. It's designed for children. Adults love it. Older generations that grew up with it also love it. So, you know, family films aren't exactly the be-all and end-all of, we've got to make this a franchise. So returning to this, I'd say it's very welcoming. Going back to the Brown family, where its roots are, but getting the adventure side, let's take them out of London, let's go to Peru for this one. It felt a bit closer to home for, I don't want to say for the bear, but I guess we are. And it's something which I thought worked as a story. I think it worked as an idea for a sequel. Let's go to the bear side of things. Can we really do the same things before? Can you top Hugh Grant in Paddington 2? I don't think you can. And I think that's what really lended this, is that they can do something completely different with the new director and go overseas for more of an adventure. And I think the film really excels when it is going for the adventure type story. A caveat of that is the Brown family, who the film makes very clear within the story of this that time has gone by. The children are now young adults. One of them is going to be going off to uni, the other one's in his teenage era, and I guess as an audience member there'll be kids in the same boat, or there'll be people watching at home, parents that have seen their children grow up, and the film does a really, really good job at tackling the the family lifestyle after a certain amount of time. What do families do when they grow up out, when they grow older? And I think that's where the film is at its absolute best, is the family drama side of things, whilst it's not losing its momentum, it's not losing its identity as being a family film. It's not taking it past what would be a kids' film. It's not trying to make it too adult. It is essentially still at the core of its story, but different audiences, different ages and different people are going to gravitate towards this film in different ways. And again, I think this film handles that really well and very maturely for a family film. But everyone's going to talk about it. Performance-wise, we haven't just lost the director, we've also lost Sally Hawkins. And Emily Mortimer's come into this film, who, I will say this straight away, because I don't normally go for actors, actresses, etc., etc., but I thought she's fine in this. My criticism of this is that it feels like it's a Sally Hawkins impersonation, and I'm not putting that down to Emily Mortimer. Maybe it's a direction thing. I understand them not wanting to recast her, that it's part of this family. I also, because I've seen some very strange things on Reddit this week, I went into a whole, why isn't Sally Hawkins in this film? And I did a bit of research. You end up on Reddit, straight away someone's like, just kill her off. I'm like, no, you can't do that in a family film. You can't do that off screen between films. And I thought it was very brave that the core subject of this film is about the family growing up and the family growing apart. But to lose one of the lead actors is really noticeable. And as I said, Emily Moore does a good job, but I feel like the film could have found, or maybe tried to find, a different way to do something else to give her a new character, because it's the mannerisms, it's the accent, it even feels like the costume. It is almost yes, we have recast her, and I know that's the whole purpose of a recast, but it feels very strange. Like one of those weird YouTube videos where someone's like, what if this person was in that film? And it's like Timothée Chalamet or Tom Holland photoshopped onto something from the 80s. And that's where the film not lost me, but that's where I have noticeable issues with the film. That being said, it's not a fair issue. It's a behind the scenes. It's not to do with the quality of the film, the quality of the script, the performances. It is just something that it's very hard to get used to on screen. And I do feel that's going to be a tricky thing for a lot of people that maybe have attachments to these films, or people that are going to watch them all and it feels strange. And again, it's nothing on Emily's acting in this film. I feel like it is more of a script issue. Whether they tried something behind the scenes, I do not know. I know that Sally Hawkins was on Wonka as well. They're saying that's not part of it. It was a schedule conflict. But there's varying stories around this. So it is a weird one. And it will be weird for people, I think, to get used to on screen. Because even like an hour and a half in my head I was like, this feels like a Sally Hawkins impression. And I think a lot of people are going to think that, which is a shame. But that doesn't take anything away from the film's qualities. And with the film's qualities, there's a lot of them. It works as a family film. It's very pleasant, delightful, I think is the term I've used. It's harmless. It's kind of what you expect. I don't know what to expect going into Paddington film. I saw them both online for the first time on Disney+. So I didn't have the expectations and weights of others. With the people going this with a Dark Knight Rises attitude that it needs to be better than the best sequel ever or something, I do not know. But for me, it's just about how can this function work as a family film. Now, in the press screening, there were many families. It wasn't just adults, loads of children. The audience reaction, very receptive. There's some very, very funny lines in this film. There's funny dialogue. It's very comedic when it needs to be. And I think that comedy works for both the younger demographics and the older demographics in different ways. There's going to be stuff that kids alleviate towards, and if you're watching this, shall I take my kid to watch Paddington? You probably know the answer is yes already, but as an adult, I think you're going to have a very enjoyable time too. And it's really hard to talk about Paddington, because what more can you say other than the fact it's very good? I don't have issues with the script. I don't have issues with the direction. The CGI I thought was great. It looked phenomenal. I guess it's the first one I've seen on a big screen, but visually it looked outstanding. It's got a really interesting story, and bringing on board Antonio Banderas. Again, how do you top Hugh Grant? He's very good in this. As we know, he's very good in many things, especially family films with Puss in Boots. So yeah, you're going to have a blast heading into this film. There might be some things that you're maybe not so keen on. I don't think that'll be within story. I think, again, that's a casting side of things. But I will say this, if you're going into this wanting Paddington 2, you think you're going to get another one of those, try not to do that with regards to your own expectations. Go into it as a Paddington film, you'll have an absolute blast. Go into it as a family film, you'll probably have a blast. Go into it as an adult that just wants to watch a good film. You end up watching a good film. It's solid. There's not much more I can really add to it than that. There's no major gaping flaws. The cast is outstanding. Olivia Colman is amazing, as we all know she is, perfectly suited to be in these films. And like with great British productions, this is something that's going to have rewatchability. So I think a lot of people will go and see this again. I think people see it multiple times. I think it'll be something that when it's online or at home on like Blu-ray, people will go towards again and again and again. And obviously from the marketing side of things, yeah, it's all over everywhere of collaboration. So it's going to be a big hit here in the UK. I've got no idea how it's going to fare in the US in January. Whether it's online at that point, because that does affect these kinds of things, or the gap in between, I do not know. But I would be very surprised if this isn't all over the BAFTAs. Not necessarily indicative of the film's quality, but it's the BAFTAs, Paddington's British, that's what they're going to go for. So yeah, one to keep your eyes out, one I do recommend, and when people get the chance to see it, I do hope they enjoy it. So that's going to end this review for me today. I hope you've all enjoyed it. I hope I haven't given anything away as such. I've kept it pretty light in the story because I don't know much going into it, which kind of really helps me have a blast with it. So that's all I'm going to say for this one. So once again, thank you all for watching, for the new viewers, for people supporting us. It's very much appreciated, and we will see you on the next one. Take care.